Should we even apologize for being late again? Because we're always
We
late?
should, but I would say we're not late.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, we're always sorry. I mean, we can lead off pretty much every conversation
True.
that way.
This is true. You can for sure.
Well, it's always good to be apologetic. But we try to get started between 8 and 8:30. We try to be done. We have a Redskins show that comes up at 9. Anyone who looks at Hogs Haven, I think we're on. I think I heard some
that's why we're talking like this.
some volume.
I just like to be certain.
It's just like the old way of the basement, where we would just be sitting around hanging out, and then all of a sudden,
When absolutely no one was listening.
when you hit the button, do one of these,
No one should have been listening.
roll right into a conversation.
Keegan Tier and I were listening.
It'll surface someday.
True.
We had tens of listeners.
Some man
back
in
then.
India has it.
Dozens.
Right? He has the first shows. Some man in India.
That's
All
true.
right, I wrote a song about it.
He's making big bucks over there.
Want to hear it? Here it goes. Here we go. Maddie, you're on. We're good.
Yes, sir.
We zoomed all the way in. I was just trying to do a little zoom there.
Yeah. The man in India story, by the way, is a good story. If you want to know about it, you have to ask us on the comments, and then we'll tell you some other time.
The computer story,
Yeah.
the history of this show, behind the podcast, the behind the podcast of the Audible.
We're not going to say it
missing
unless
months.
anybody really wants to
Yeah.
hear it. So
We've already
you
said
have
too
to-
much.
It must be asked for.
Potentially paid for. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another Tuesday night here in the basement. First Amendment Sports. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
Man, we could be talking about this for years, and we will. But let's have at it again tonight. A little bit more. Why stop now?
He's Tim Strachan.
And if you mean this, meaning the best game I've ever witnessed, 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks ago? I can't even remember.
It was.
2 weeks ago?
It's been a blur,
It was
man.
2
A week and
Sundays
2 days.
ago.
Yeah.
It was man, it's still been a lot of fun. People still talking about it everywhere I go. And I'd love to talk about it some more.
Maddie, the real deal seal.
Everywhere. My cousins from Tennessee were in awe. She's like, I saw that logo from your jacket on Sports Center. It's like, yes, you did. It was great.
This is the WCAC Spectacular. It is spectacular. We continue to talk about the spectacle side. I think for tonight, we'll bridge the gap between football and basketball. We'll take a last look at that game. We'll talk about some of the players that are coming back in the WCAC football conference, and we'll preview just a little bit about what we have in store for everybody on the hardwood. In case you haven't been paying attention, we will be giving you, for certain, playoff games from American, championship games from American, and also as certain will be our appearance in gyms all across the WCAC. We're going to be doing boys and girls. There's amazing teams to cover. Look for the notification. We'll make sure the word gets out, but you will be able to watch these games live. And you never know what you're going to see when you watch the WCAC play anything.
And don't let the football physiques, get you confused. We used to play a little round ball around here. We were all right.
You mean these physiques right here? We played both.
We love it. We love it. We love it. The same, equally, but differently.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a year-round appreciation of sports in the WCAC, and we are lucky enough to fill 2 of those seasons with nationally ranked programs up and down the list. Before we get to basketball, though, we still have a little bit of football to wrap up. I loved our conversation last week. I love the fact that Coach Randy Trivers just dropped in on us in the middle of a show with the trophy and the ball. That was awesome. Carol was here last week.
He's still walking around with it.
I know he is, and he's got that ball. I haven't seen him without it since the end of that game, because we were on the field when they turned the lights out on us at Catholic, and he walked off the field holding it, and to this second, I've never seen him without it.
It was at his Thanksgiving dinner table.
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't it be?
So, why
It should
not?
be. Carol will be here for the Redskins show at 9 when the Audible covers the Redskins. And without her tonight, looking back to last week when we just had that high of being, witnesses literally on the sidelines to the greatest football game ever played. We're calling it certainly the greatest high school game ever played. It deserves another look from the standpoint of making sure some guys' names and games get mentioned. Inside the whistles, it was great. And just to kind of lead it off, I watched the whole game again yesterday and sent our good friends over at Automatic Sports. We're putting together another video about that game, and we are going to make sure. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to watch a 3.5 hour video except for 30,000 people apparently who did. So thank you. Watching it again, the story of the game early was obviously DeMatha taking a 20-0 lead, but when you move through watching, how it unfolded. First of all, Gonzaga stayed composed, and secondly, it was a way tighter game the whole way through watching it this time than I remember it being. I remember thinking this game's over, and when I was watching the game, maybe because I knew, but when you're watching the game,
I thought it when it hit 20-0.
Yeah,
I thought it.
But
especially one more would have probably put it
the way they were playing.
It was playmaking.
DeMatha was ridiculous. Jermaine Johnson, Eric Nigerian. I mean, we saw one of the coolest runs of the season.
Marshawn?
Yes.
The first touchdown,
I love the fact that because I
second.
think Bangura
First.
made the same
second,
move like in the second quarter, I believe, or a little bit later. And I had said on the broadcast, DeMatha must have a drill that teaches them how to stop
Yeah.
and then reverse.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, it's called the recruiting drill. And I look at you and I go, I guess you can't really teach that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, look,
but from both
It's
of
advanced
them,
level.
Elijah could play, man. Don't get me wrong, but you don't just sit around and have a drill called
stop on a dime,
reappear,
and
disappear,
make everybody go
adios,
one way,
and peace
Yeah,
out.
no,
It's
was
botany,
ridiculous.
the way they planted that. Now, I would say the one word that comes to mind and came to mind while I was watching this game was playmaking. There were, of course, drives, but all up and down the field, it was just plays. Like, I mean, not just, that was
I
a
just
good...
remember the first
20-yard
half
play.
highlights
Yes.
were as long as most game highlights.
Yes.
All in and of itself. Nobody's even talking about that first half. That first half was so much fun to watch.
I said, are we being greedy to ask for a second half to match this first? And I mean, I'm sorry, but we got
Way
time,
more than
time
that.
plus. We got overtime paid. Time plus one. Yes.
The manner in which Nigerian, Helms, Jermaine, and Marshawn, when you watch them, they were pounding guys, and they were definitely getting they were efficient early in downs. But the way that both teams picked up yards in such huge chunks on such amazing
It was
plays.
super chunky. It was ridiculous. Hey, Eric Nigerian had the game of his career underneath the brightest spotlight. You had to be really proud of this senior quarterback. 15 of 22.
Yep.
3 touchdowns, no picks, 237 yards, 7 rushes for 27 yards and a TD. I mean, he didn't get to do much in the fourth quarter, the way the game unfolded.
I mean, the first part, his passing alone was spot on that night. I mean, and it just everything, the way he set up, there was no indecision. He was making decisions quick.
He was in his zone.
He was in his zone. And then, but I think it was the running too. It was the running on top of it that screwed Gonzaga up defensively. They didn't know how, they didn't see that coming. At least I don't think that they saw that coming.
And they attacked the middle of the field.
I was certainly proud of him, Kevin, having been a former DeMatha quarterback who's won championships. That's the way to play.
That's a 6'4", 220-pound senior athlete, and he got going north-south, and the guy's got some speed. I know he's not going to pull off that move that they practice in the running back drills.
Not many
but that's different. Now, he was fantastic. He should be proud of himself. I mean, it was spectacular. And you said Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, how many yards do you guys think he rushed for in that game?
I'd say 190.
I was going to say about 167.
I got him right around 170.
Yep.
It's tough. I did these stats myself just watching the game. Nothing was published. This was me going through it.
That's official First Amendment Sports Stats.
I mean, listen.
They are.
Before we get off
They are the first
Nigerian,
official.
I just wanted to say,
sorry. Go ahead.
what I found cool, I guess, about what they did offensively through the air, some of the throws in the middle of the field that he made. I mean, you guys played for enough coaches and have coached yourselves. What's the last thing in the world you want a kid doing? Is throwing in the middle of the field. Everything's outside.
but
everything's away.
It's also the most effective part of the field.
I understand, but they trusted him, and he came through.
He throws that
look,
route so
I think
well.
RPO gets thrown around too willy-nilly, especially today by announcers. And I don't know this for sure, but it looked like he was running some RPO.
No doubt.
It looked like he was running some RPO, and that is a lot to put on anybody at any level. I mean, some people in the pros still don't get it. I mean, to be able to do that at the high school level at that stage of the season for that, for everything on the line, it was pretty impressive.
And let's be clear about RPO. Sorry to interrupt, Ken.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for a very long time. It's another football trend that's come back. You know, everything is cycled and recycled. We didn't call it an RPO, but, you know, running the run and shoot offense back in the day, you know, stuff like that. There was all those type of fundamentals that were involved. The term RPO seems so, I don't want to say it, but you know what? People recognize it and they get it. And that's exactly what he was doing. And and it's a read, and he was very effective doing it. Go ahead. Sorry, bud.
No, I was impressed with the manner in which they asked him to attack the middle of the field. But I think one thing we saw was both quarterbacks trusted their receivers a ton because they put the ball in traffic all night long. The coolest thing about watching the game again and seeing all the plays that were made, there weren't. I'm trying to think of the play that stands out where there wasn't a defender in the picture, where there wasn't guys.
Oh, you mean just like a blown coverage, somebody wide up? But no, there wasn't.
Everyone was just. It was
everyone
hard
had
played.
action to it. Every single play.
All the deep throws that were awesome. The Jermaine Johnson,
Yep.
over the shoulders. The what was that, Turner?
Jermaine Johnson.
I mean, Jermaine Johnson. Talk about Jermaine Johnson.
I mean, all right. How
He
many?
had
I like
the
asking.
game of his life.
He was absolutely phenomenal. And just real quick, that Oklahoma West Virginia game, there was no defense played in that. Guys were running around, blah blah blah. That was nuts. This had, like I said, double-digit Power 5 scholarships on the field, and good defense played, and studs make a play. You gonna tell me DeMarco Helms didn't play any D? He was everywhere. But let me ask you about Jermaine Johnson. Guess, fellas, I like to do this.
On yards or catches?
Catches, both.
11 catches.
Yeah, I'm going to say 10 catches, 125.
9 catches.
Damn.
122 yards.
Yeah.
But listen, let's go 125.
Let's go 125.
And only one touchdown, but it was that guy was phenomenal.
He's going to love, by the way, our
everywhere.
footage of his touchdown. I'm sure other cameras got it that day, but it's a great play. The play he puts on the ball to get the ball, the turn to the corner, and the dive at the pylon. And I said it. I'm so glad that I did say it because so much of the yards that he got were attributable directly to DeMarco Helms blocking.
Oh, he did everything.
It was amazing.
Great thing you pointed out there, and that's why he's one of the best right now too, DeMarco. Because he does he's not a diva. He's not just saying, look at me. He gets out there and he plays and he does his role. And when it's his turn to shine, he does it. When it's not, he's doing his role.
He was like a hog on the outside.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest single performances I've seen in a team sport at any level in any sport. And I'm not embarrassed and I'm not blowing smoke to say I think he goes to this next business opportunity, which is what it's going to be for him, under the greatest tutelage at the position he plays that exists at the next level. And I have no problem saying I think he starts in the NFL for a decade.
And he will
he's got that type of ability.
Because he's going to keep working at it as well.
That's
why. It's not because he can just show up and be
the
there.
passion, the way he plays the game.
Yeah.
Oh, he put on. I mean, like I said,
Keep
never
working,
would I have
young
thought.
man. Keep
Never would I
working.
have thought that Caleb Williams or anyone else for that matter could have shone brighter underneath those lights down in Northeast DC and Brooklyn.
Caleb Williams may have shown brighter. I can't imagine. By the end of the game,
That fourth quarter,
his numbers are off the charts. He was over 300, over 100, right?
he was absolutely. I said, well, you guys were surprised. He was 13 of 29, which is surprising, but he made a bunch of those incomplete passes were on first down where he threw the ball to a safe place that was not going to cause a turnover. And he had exactly 0 turnovers on the day. In that fourth quarter, he touched the ball on every single play. There was 15 passes called and 9 rushes. Never once was Caleb Williams not the guy with the ball in hand to make the play. 13 for 29 for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns passing. 19 rushes for 108 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. And 1 backwards moonwalk touchdown reception right in front of our team.
Right at us. That was great.
Mama Mapusa.
John
It was ridiculous.
Marshall, right? On the
John
field?
Marshall on the Philly special or whatever, the Eagles, but whatever they want to call it, they can.
Yeah.
So hats off to the Gonzaga receivers who time and time again, especially John Marshall, but other guys made plays. Sam Sweeney, Turner,
Turner.
Terry out of the backfield had a couple huge gains, and then obviously John Marshall. But they had huge chunky plays. I mean, you make 13 completions that go over 300 yards. Obviously, Caleb Williams had the Hail Mary at the end, but there was a couple huge passing plays he made, especially in that second quarter. And the receivers just looked professional.
Well, I think it's because they have a great rapport with Caleb Williams. A lot of those balls were 50-50 balls. A lot of those catches were last-minute adjustments because they're used to knowing where Caleb's putting the ball. That's what a season does when you're working with guys, day in and day out. You kind of get this sense of, what guys are capable of doing, where you can put the ball, where that guy can get it and nobody else can. I think that's what we were seeing.
We were lucky enough in the 4 weeks leading up to this game to cover Gonzaga essentially every weekend at one level. We watched Caleb Williams grow up. Not that he needed any stretch of improvement, but when you see a kid who's a stud turn into a superstar, we witnessed it at field level. It was ridiculous. That fourth quarter, I mean, I'm telling you, fourth quarter for him, 18 of 15 for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns throwing, 9 rushes for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That was just the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they dominated the ball. They had it the whole time due to turnovers and a couple 3-and-outs for DeMatha. Eric Najarian, with the great numbers he had, never got a chance to get going in that fourth quarter. He was 0 for 1 with and 1 rush for 0 yards. I mean, they just didn't have it.
Yep.
Gonzaga back-to-back weeks
shifted, man.
had that ball.
It shifted.
But let me ask you this, now that we're asking everyone, John Marshall stats, catches and yards.
Ooh.
So he definitely had over 100 yards.
He didn't have as many catches as.
I might say he has 200 yards. I'm
Seven catches.
I'm gonna say 6 catches, 208 yards.
$160.
5 catches, of which the first and the last were unbelievably important.
Yes.
The last one will never be forgotten. That first one, when he went up and got that ball,
yes,
that was the kickstart. That jump started that. He said, this senior is not ready to go out like this. He put that team on his back with 2 plays, 2 back shoulder fades that were contested, and he just went and got it. 5 catches for 145 yards.
145.
And that 1 touchdown that, man, I think
6 for 200.
They might be talking about for a little.
Ridiculous.
Well, because he had a 60
I
yarder.
know it was a ridiculous
Hey, but
game.
let's
but
not forget he also
ridiculous.
had 1 passing.
Yeah, had a passing. But I know he got 1. I know he got over 100 yards with 2 catches. Yeah. So I was just trying to,
He also brought the snacks for halftime.
And he also made a catch, by the way, in that one of the second half drives where it was pass interference on DeMatha. The guy was literally holding on to his shoulder pad, pulling him down, and he made the catch to set up a late Gonzaga touchdown.
Which reminds me of arguably his second best play of the day when Caleb underthrew that fade route on the left. And I believe it was Josh Wallace sitting there ready to catch it, fair catch it like a punt. And before he could go high point the ball, John Marshall came back,
he went and got it,
tackled him, pulled him down to the ground, earned his pass interference call, and did not let DeMatha, which would have, at that point, it's over.
I mean, that's what I was talking about.
What a great defensive,
Smart
offensive
players.
play. It was exactly.
Sam Sweeney,
Yes.
The same thing. The way they run routes, where Caleb knows, where to hit them. That was well designed, and that's very good coaching as well. I mean, it's a lot of work for the kids. It's great coaching by the coaches. Then they put it on display when they needed it most.
We just knew Sam Sweeney was going to show up there in that second half. We knew it. We've seen it all
year. You
year.
got to talk about him.
And first of all, he caught that fumble in the air, paid for it, but maintained possession for the team after the at the end of a run. After Caleb almost gets knocked out, where they would have had to have subbed someone in, and at that point, you're asking someone to come off the bench and do the impossible.
Yep.
He shakes it off, puts that ball. I mean, that was a 60-yard ball thrown down the sidelines. And like we said, Sam Sweeney retraced, came back over the wrong shoulder, made an incredible catch on 3rd and 33, I believe. I mean, get out of here, dude.
That's right.
Get out of here. The amount of things that happened. I mean, I've got a sheet here with big plays. Fellas, that's a lot. It would take us all night to get through.
We need to time code that.
I mean, seriously.
On the 3-hour video, we time coded. I'll throw it all together. But
Put it on our Instagram feed.
I thought Dean Ingram got robbed.
Well, real quick, I just want to
Sorry,
say, after the game, and
Yep.
we'll get more to the game.
Yep.
I just wanted to mention, Seal and I were walking to the car, getting ready to go home, and we saw
noticed
Caleb
three cats,
Williams,
yeah.
John Marshall, Sam Sweeney, Little Kemp, kicker, and who was with his dad, Jimmy Kemp.
Is that his
BS
rapper
Bulldogs,
name?
by the way.
Little Kemp.
Little Kemp.
Dogs.
And we just went up and said, "Hey guys, congratulations, you deserved it." And each one of them came over, shook our hands, said thank you. And I turned to Sam and I said, "Hey, good luck at Penn State. He's going to go there play lacrosse." I said, "My nephew JB Strachan from Prep is also going to go to Penn State. Good luck to you guys." He's like, "Oh yeah, it was pretty cool." So good kids.
Yeah.
It was nice to meet you guys, Jimmy Kemp and everybody. So thank you. That was a special moment. It was cool.
I was just going to say, I thought Dean Ingram got robbed. On the first
That's
go-ahead
That's
touchdown.
what Kevin said from the very beginning.
Yeah,
That was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown. It was the first go-ahead
His
touchdown
elbow
for
hit
Gonzaga.
first?
I think his elbow. I think he came down. It was just an amazing play, and thank God I believe we started off our very first the 45 seconds of madness highlight clip. I'm pretty sure
with that.
Yeah, we led off with that.
Yeah.
But what's cool about that play is they reline up and Sam Sweeney lines the wide left, and he lines up pretty much on the hash line, and he works his way inside and catches a inside slant, and then kind of gets tackled over top of the defender into the end zone to get that first go-ahead touchdown. It was a great catch by him. Obviously, put the throw was right where it had to be, but he was covered. Everyone, Dean Ingram, the play before when he scored that touchdown, he was covered. Everyone was covered all the time, and yet every single guy stepped up and made a play.
Make plays.
Yeah, and the defenders, they weren't really beaten. It just they had plays made on them on both sides.
It was such a high level of high school football.
It was, and to all those out there, I just wanted to just address the elephant in the room. People are like, "Oh, you're never gonna, you'll never see that again," and probably not in that same way. But
I didn't think I was going to see that.
Yeah,
I mean,
the fact that that's even possible. We've been the four of us, and have been begging people for the last 2 years to get us in there. Let us put this out there because it is amazing. And do we think that was going to happen? No.
Well, actually, no, because remember a few years
Maybe
ago,
we
I'm going to
did.
forget what year, but it was Good Counsel versus DeMatha at Navy. Good Counsel was getting ready to they were in the red zone, literally getting ready to score, and it was evident they were going to score. I believe it was I can't
Reggie
remember.
Gooch.
Was it the pitch?
Reggie Gooch.
The phantom pitch to nobody, and all of a sudden the ball's on the ground. DeMatha jumps on it, and the game's over. And it was like, did I just see that?
Well, now you're going to
Did
make
I
me come
just
up
see
with
that?
mine 2
So
years ago.
They're all over the place.
2 years ago. St. John's DeMatha at Bird.
Yes, you're right.
It
Absolutely.
was one of the worst things I've ever witnessed
Absolutely.
as a fan.
I wasn't there. I was at a Maryland game. I think
And it
in
was,
Michigan State.
I remember
you
seeing
guys,
him
you guys were
afterwards.
reporting back to me the whole time. It was
So we don't need to get into the
unbelievable.
details, but this product is evident, and this game is going to be played at a high level, and there's no doubt about it. And there's no doubt about with what we're looking at coming back next year that it's going to be it's going to be done all over again.
They don't lose. It's not like people say so we might not get 3 touchdowns in the last 30 seconds, but it doesn't drop off. The
You'll get
WCAC is
something
doing
else.
this.
You'll
It's not
get
doing
something
this.
else. You will get
Yeah.
something else, guaranteed.
You'll get your money's worth for sure.
We
And there
really
are.
haven't even got into that last, 45, 30, 39 seconds or whatever it was.
So we did the Sam Sweeney inside slant.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzaga takes the lead.
There was the personal foul that knocked back the where they were going to kick it from.
Yep.
And I believe I said, not
To
trying
the
to take credit,
25.
not trying to take credit. I just said, hey, you never know. Now it's definitely going to be returned.
Both those kickers were putting it in the end zone with regularity.
Yeah.
The DeMatha
Not only that,
could have
he
crushed
took it.
us if he
Logan
wanted.
Neely took it to the house, and again, as you said, not easily. It's not like there was,
Shit, a
part.
few
It's not like the
defenders
Red
in his
Sea
way.
parted
Oh,
and he never
a
got
few.
touched. He had to break 2
Yeah.
tackles at the very end, if not more, before that,
Yep.
in order to get there.
He refused tackling at that
He
moment.
was refusing tackling, like
Yeah.
refusing medical attention. There was.
Do not resuscitate. This,
There were a
this
couple
is
guys
going, we're
rapping
playing
him.
that house music.
Wasn't going down like
He
that.
just said, "You know what? No thanks."
And then you thought it was over.
But what was
But
interesting to me when you watch it,
Not
T,
until Kevin said.
when Gonzaga took the first lead with 30 seconds to go, the players were celebrating, but there was nothing in the stadium that suggested that it was a done deal, which
The
I thought was
stadium
interesting.
lost their mind.
Because
at
when
that point.
DeMatha scored the Logan Neely return,
Pandemonium.
that was pandemonium,
I said it
as T
twice, by
said.
the
It
way.
was pandemonium, and that was pandemonium in a way it
Could
hadn't
have said
just
it
been.
100 times.
It just kind of went like excitement to take the lead and potentially be the winner in this game with Sam Sweeney on the inside slant to bedlam when Logan Neely took it back with 15 seconds to go, and it's nuts.
Carroll was on the sidelines with Ari Kwanjo,
Yeah.
Ant Mac
Man,
from
what a
Maryland, Fultz.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, apparently, somebody
Markel
could have
Fultz.
been a look-like.
Could have been a look-like.
But a couple other guys, and they said, and James Matten, who's not a small guy, who was a minor league baseball player from Gonzaga in class of '94,
And a football
but
player.
James told me these guys were jumping up and down like 4 feet off the ground, almost just stomping on Carroll.
Yeah.
And the entire DeMatha sidelines washed everybody out, getting up into the stands.
The
It was
running of the
crazy.
Stags.
It was unbelievable.
That
There was
that was
more
mentioned.
people in the sidelines than in the stands. It's the most sideline passes
there was
I've ever
comments about
seen.
that.
in a-
Right
way.
in front of us,
People
too.
commented
Just
about
right,
that.
right amongst
It's
us.
hilarious.
Was anyone in the stands? Like,
did they keep anybody out
it
of the
was
game?
like a peewee game, and like everyone's parents were just standing on the sidelines. I guess I don't know. And Booker McFarland's kid, Aunt Mac. So DeMatha takes the lead, 15 seconds to go, and they're going to get a chance. Gonzaga's going to get a play. You have to believe in your heart at that point in time. 15 seconds. It's kind of a done deal.
Well, listen, I'm not trying to give credit to anybody. I'm just saying
Yeah.
one of you two said, this is unbelievable. 15 seconds
Seems like too much time.
seems like
Yeah.
too much time.
Does anyone feel like there's plenty of time left? Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
I was because
1 second would have
I've
been
been-
more enough time if it still was 1 second on the clock.
Yep. The out that he threw to set up the Hail Mary was
it was the most important.
it was textbook.
It was the absolute. And I told you they went to Dean Ingram in the overtime game at 4th
Yep.
and 9, and on a similar route, down and out on the right side against a similar soft coverage,
Yeah.
and they needed that exact amount of yards, give or take 5, to get into super howitzer arms, range, and that play will. Be overlooked by some, but not by the guys on the sidelines that watched Dean Ingram. He was limping around out there. He was
Yeah.
banged up. He made that catch. He lied there for a while.
We don't know for sure, but
He didn't come back on a few
You're right.
punts. And man, that's the guy you want in that situation. They needed 13 yards. They needed 10 to 15. He got him 13. Dragged the toe. Just need one in high school. Got out of bounds. And then you're thinking, oh, wait a minute. We were at McNamara, and one of the first things we said, he threw that ball away. I said, did he throw that ball 70 yards? You got to go back and look at
I
it.
had him lead.
He-
I had his back foot on the 40,
Right.
I have 41, but
and he was
keep
2
in the end
yards
zone.
shy of the end zone,
Yeah.
which in my case is 68 yards.
Yes, but if no one caught that ball comes down outside of
gone
the end zone.
outside. Yeah,
That's why
sure.
that's what I count.
Yeah,
the
'cause he
extra.
high pointed it,
He high pointed
across
it.
the end zone.
That ball was at least going a couple more yards.
But one last thought on the out.
Yeah.
All the time we cover the Redskins also, and everyone is a professional football critic, obviously, and we're inundated with.
oh, didn't we hear?
Yes, but that throw is not a normal high school quarterback throw. I just can't stress enough. All the things Caleb does is special, but the outside the hash, at the sidelines, on a line to the receiver, gets the foot in. I promise you, it's not a throw you're going to see thrown that well in high school. I don't know, maybe 7 times out of 10. I mean, that's a professional throw. He throws a lot of professional throws, but of all the things that you need, I think one of the things we said in the second half is, Gonzaga's going to need to get vertical, but thankfully for them, they have the guy for that.
The throw that separates a Power 5 college potential pro quarterback from a high school kid who's a good football player that probably won't make it that far is the 22-yard out.
Mm-hmm.
If you can throw a 22, 23, 20 to 25-yard out on a rope, that's truly what can separate.
Yep.
No one knows that better than me. I was going to be an outside backer, strong safety,
Right.
but Division III level, they don't ask you to do that.
Right.
But if they did, I would have gone over to the defensive side of the ball and switched jerseys instantly
Yeah.
because that was not in my repertoire.
Yeah.
But let me ask you guys this. Is it crazy to say a sophomore in high school can make every throw? And
Yes.
I'm not talking about next year at the Power 5. I'm talking about that arm strength,
Yes.
and he's only going to get bigger and stronger.
You're seeing it more and more.
He
but
has
there
the
are critics
ability.
out there. And listen, I'm more critical of quarterbacks than anybody. I love to be critical of quarterbacks. I'm just not going to go against Nick Saban.
No.
And the multitude of
Because
other
he can
power,
throw the
big
touch
time
ball
Power
too.
5 schools
It's that
are
rifle
recruiting
arm
him.
that we talk about. That rifle arm accompanied with that feathery touch.
Yeah, I mean,
he's
they're
got
all
the ability.
over him. Everybody's all over him. That's why.
He's here for
he's
2
got
more
the tool-
years.
he's got the
Before they
tools.
get him, we got him.
Yep.
For 2 more years.
And we talked about Helms playing on Sunday for a long time. Everyone's gonna have the height debate and whatever. But
At one point, Helms put that game on his shoulders.
Yes.
Especially on the defense. That touchdown he had in the first quarter was ridiculous, and it was a great pass squeezed between 2 defenders.
Yep.
On that slant.
But Helms on the
was ridiculous.
DeMatha side and Williams on the Gonzaga side flashed a pro level. What you could recognize as tracking to the pro level, because Caleb Williams' ability to throw the ball separates him from everybody. And if he, I don't know how much taller he's going to get, but I know that if you can throw the ball like that, you're probably as tall as you need to be because if you're making every throw, you're making every throw. And he makes every throw.
I mean, Baker Mayfield was just the number 1 pick. They're going to wind up being around the same size, I imagine, when the time comes. So with that live arm and the ability to get rid of it quickly and be able to make all those throws, it's on him as a person and blah, blah, blah.
He's
but
not
listen,
super tall.
That's too much. That's too much pressure.
I know.
We're not here to do that to the kid.
No. But
look. No, he's not super tall, right? He's not your 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guy, right? Those aren't the guys that go to Alabama and those types of schools these days. But Ralph Friedgen told me the most accurate quarterback, and accuracy to Ralph Friedgen was the most important aspect or the most important trait of a kid.
Nah,
it was
Joe
Joe
Ham,
Hamilton.
baby.
Joe Hamilton, who was under 6 feet. He didn't care. At the end of the day, he didn't care. If you could be as accurate as Joe Hamilton or somebody like Drew Brees, who in my opinion is the most accurate quarterback in the history of the game, it doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter about anything else. If you can put a ball where you need to on a dime, 22 yards down the field on a rope, you got a job.
Also, the historical stats would support. They also think he's the most accurate. He is the most accurate player.
Brees?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he is for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well,
there's stories of people going, hey, Drew, can you hit that thing over there? And he would just hit it.
He has the highest completion or accuracy in the history of the game. Let's talk about some guys who let's start transitioning over. So next week when we do the WCAC Spectacular, we'll be talking basketball, getting ready for hopefully a game or two. We'll be able to tell you where we'll be at and how you can tune in and watch. But the cool thing about our show that we've been talking about, mixed in throughout our game coverage and our shows is multi-sport athletes in the WCAC. We have some amazing ones that we've been covering on the football field. They're going to transition over to the hardwood, and then we'll wrap up with
a couple guys we're going to look forward to seeing.
Seeing next year on the football field. And we can kind of order. You guys want to do the guys we're looking forward to seeing most next year come back?
Yeah,
let's do that first.
We'll end up on the basketball deal. I'm going to start off real quick. I got an offensive and a defensive guy, and I decided to go with my St. John's guys. I think we were robbed this year after the Miami Central St. John's game to not see the ability of MJ Sherman. He was in the pictures this weekend at Ohio State. He was top 5 before the injury of his class at any position, a top 5-star recruit in the nation in the junior class. This guy is an absolute leader who showed that by doing what he did for the rest of the season at St. John's. You guys, MJ Sherman's the name you're going to hear in this basement for the next year, and we're going to hear on TV on Saturdays, and another guy I think has that chance. He has that God-gifted ability, and with that personality he has in his work ethic, coming off of an ACL, he'll be back ready to go next year, and this is someone that is going to make this conference shine. It's someone that the nation's going to take notice of. And my other guy, offensively, after the St. John's Gonzaga game, crazy ending as well. At that point, Sol J. Maeva.
Oh, I was going to say Sol J.
Sorry, buddy, but that's my guy.
I know.
Sol J. Maeva and Caleb Williams had the exact same numbers. In fact, we were talking about, numbers-wise, that they have a different game. We were talking about it. 7 touchdown passes over 40 yards, 5 over 50, and 3 each over 60. I mean, it was absurd. And the teams that Sol J beat on this schedule that St. John's played this year, up until that final game, tends to be forgotten about outside of the St. John's community. Well, I'm here to say I cannot wait to watch the young man's senior year. He'll have a year under his belt in this conference, in this part of the country. Yep. And, that battle, we have the best 2 quarterbacks in the area, and they're going to go up and do it again this year. And I cannot wait to see them play the 9 games they do before that number 10 hits next year.
Yep. Don't even think about stealing my guy.
I just took 2, an offensive and a defensive.
I know. I got to go. I got to jut in there. This Bishop McNamara Mustang loves watching number 5 at St. John's. Rakim Jarrett coming back for his senior year. Man. So much fun to watch. He's a dominant player. I
had to leave you one of those guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that because how I feel about Rakim.
I know you do. You've loved him for 2 years, and I've agreed with you.
Yep. He's been fun to watch, and he's only getting funner.
Funner?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think that's what I'm going with. That's basement-ese. So I'm looking forward to
McNamara English.
Yeah, dare to tell that to his face. You're funner.
Sorry, Marco.
Do you see him in his Ohio State uni this weekend wearing number 1?
Him to be funner.
Oh my God, he looked like a young Chris Carter, but more chiseled.
Isn't it weird how they just look bigger in the college jersey, and then all of a sudden they get to the pros and they look bigger, but they haven't really changed size. The jersey just makes them look bigger. Like you put out Ohio State, you're like, whoa, did you just grow like 4 inches?
That's my other 10-year starter in the league. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm not apologizing for anything.
Yeah, don't apologize for any of it. Can I get Quinn Osborne another year of eligibility?
Yeah, he's got one.
Can I do that? On the defensive side, and as Kevin said, we talked
He
about.
just stands out.
He stands out.
He just stands out. Coach was talking about the eye test.
Yeah.
He passes the eye test immediately.
Yep.
That was the first thing that stood out to me when I saw him on the field when we did the Gonzaga.
I was just going to talk about that game. That was our first time we were live on the field doing what we do. And Kevin made the comment, if you were to go back and watch it, it's on our YouTube channel. It's very raw, pretty terrible stuff from us, but great stuff from the kids.
As always.
When Gonzaga wore down McNamara, which is, team like Gonzaga and DeMatha and St. John's, they wear you down. McNamara's depth isn't there yet. There was an inside run where, Quinn Osborne had just been destroying it, and he just couldn't get in the hole. I think Warfield got, squirted through for a touchdown, and Kevin said, that was probably the first play where you could see Osborne just couldn't get there.
He had given everything.
It was done.
It was like a lab on its 9,700 tennis ball retrieval in the lake. He just doesn't quit. He didn't quit.
Yep.
His body.
Yep.
It was ISO against a monster all day long against that O-line. Obviously what we're saying is nothing against him.
Yeah, no.
He can barely get himself off the pile to line up, but he did.
They were on the field for a long time.
That was the most impressive thing. See,
look, it's
selling
the formula
out.
of football. It doesn't matter whether you're a great football
Selling
player or not.
out. Yep.
Eventually, if you're on the field for too long, especially as a defensive player,
and then guys like us that talk about it
tough.
get to say, hey, wherever the foxhole is,
But he
I'm going to
fought.
find Quinn Osborne,
fought.
and I'm hopping right in.
Number
And
35.
if he'll have me,
Proud
I'll go
to say I
shoulder to
just
shoulder
followed
with
him
him.
a couple days ago
I don't care what the
on
sport
Twitter.
is. I don't care. I will jump in a foxhole with Quinn Osborne anytime, any day,
Yep.
any way.
yep.
So we're excited about. So those are my two guys. I'll be excited about coming back next year. T, you got anyone in your sights?
Well, I got to go with my boys, my hometown boys. First and foremost,
You got some
Marshawn
Kensington
Lloyd.
guys?
Marshawn Lloyd.
Oh, Marshawn Lloyd.
That's unfair, by the way.
You're
Yeah, I mean,
cheating.
he's already
Stop
a 5-star.
cheating.
He needs
He's
to
already a
reclassify.
5-star.
He needs to reclassify.
Yeah, the guy's just, he's got talent. Again, for all you guys that we're talking about, keep working. You got to keep working. It's nothing's ever handed to you.
But the talent
he's got gifts.
combo with hard work.
He's got gifts.
That's a good one, right?
absolutely. And we were talking about the start and stop, the stop and go.
It's called the Lloyd now.
The Lloyd, yeah. Although Bangura did
He
do
triple
it.
stamped a double stamp.
The Bangura did do it. I think he could probably claim part of that as well. And I just look. I got to show a little love to my boy Hezekiah Faison Jr. Senior played with me at DeMatha. I think this young man's got a bright future. He played a heck of a game. Look, DeMatha's got a lot of guys coming back.
They sure do.
But I'm being biased here because it's my team. But there's so many other guys. So many other guys in this.
Can I just say one thing real quick about Marshawn Lloyd?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was as a former offensive coordinator in this league as a young man. I just was like, you got to run him every time. You got to run him. Remember me saying like, is he banged up? And
Yeah, where is he?
Well, yeah,
He had-
there was a time where he was not coming in the game.
Yes, and when all was said and done, he had 31 carries.
Good Lord.
Like, what the hell was I
Really?
talking about?
Well,
He had
no.
31
there,
carries.
there was a time where we were
worried.
wanting more.
Because at the fourth quarter, when they came out for that drive, I said maybe this is what they were ready for. And that fourth quarter, he had about 7 or 8 carries. They only had about 9 plays, and he was the bell cow at that point. But that young man had 31 carries, and I'm over there
I would
going,
never have guessed
"You got to
that.
give him the ball." You gotta
would never have guessed that.
Because when you see that, plus you're getting CA ready to do the same thing, and you got that stable in the way you run the ball, and then also Greg Penn. Don't want to forget Hezekiah's battering rate. That sophomore made some plays that jumped out, and I think he's like 6'3", 215 as a sophomore.
Yep.
I can't imagine what we're going to see out of him for the next 2 years.
You got anybody, Matty?
I got 2 guys from good counsel that are coming back. Landon Tangwall, offensive
Bang,
lineman.
5-star.
Another 5-star.
You can't leave that name out of
No,
the
you
conversation.
That's my boy. He
absolutely
moves over.
can't.
Ask
Ask
Nick
Nick
Saban
Saban about him too.
Keep
Seal.
working.
Right?
He goes to the left side next year, right?
No doubt.
Absolutely. He'd be blocking for a guy named Savion Wilkerson.
Boom.
Another one coming back for the Falcons next year.
that's
So those two
amazing.
set the tune
That's
for the program for Coach
amazing.
Stefanelli.
Shout out to
You
Will
are
Johnson.
spot on there, buddy.
The sophomore return coming back as a junior, Will Johnson at Riken. He passed our eye test, I believe. Watching him on the field against O'Connell, and how can you watch that game and not have mad respect for Jamal Banks? He's coming back also.
Player of the year.
Yeah, by the way, talk about guys gutting it out and talk about getting worn down by a team with more depth, which is what happened between Riken and O'Connell. Watching Jamal Banks, basically stay on the field the entire game.
I saw him come off for one play.
Gentlemen, he did not play football for 6 to 7 weeks. Then came out and in 2 weeks played every snap.
Except for one play.
Except for
There's
one
only
play.
one play I remember him going off.
Listen,
Very excited to see
that
him
makes
back.
a different guy.
And,
That's a different
and
level
not only
of
that,
athlete.
not only that, he was rewarded with a touchdown at the end of the game.
Which I loved.
which he deserved, and we're also happy that he got.
His touchdown and
Because
Will
he
McKay's touchdown.
He
It was
fought
a 33
every
and a third
second.
percent ball we
He
discussed.
fought
It was not a
every
50-50.
second for that 6 points right there.
He did. Nice, man. That's a stable of talent, and that's just scratching the surface.
That's
Yeah.
without even bringing up Will Stoney, who's only a sophomore. We can get to that. We can get to
our
that
guy.
next year.
Seriously.
Your boy. You gonna send him a Christmas card?
He's gonna.
You are.
Will,
He's on the
Will
list.
Stoney. Not related to the Stoney people. What do you got?
Gonzaga, Caleb Williams has got 4 of his 5 linemen coming back.
Which is an understated,
Wow.
That's
huge
trouble.
deal.
Yeah.
Pettibone.
Pettibone, Fasciano,
Justice
Madden.
Justice
Patrick
Johnson,
Madden.
Madden.
Wow.
That offense has also got Malcolm Terry and Aaron Turner
Yeah, Aaron
coming
Turner's
back
coming back.
with Caleb. Yo, defensive coordinators are going to be scheming and plotting, trying to deal with that.
We better step up our game.
Hard to
I'm telling
replace
you.
though.
These guys.
Hard
Exactly.
to replace Marshall and Sweeney. Hard.
That's what they do down
in
there on
Ingram.
High
Without a
Street.
doubt.
In Ingram.
Without a doubt. And hard to
Very
replace
hard.
4 senior captains on defense, and that doesn't count Joe Wette. And yeah, well, I mean, seriously. And who am I missing? Hunter Stewart. I mean, he's going to UVA. Wette's going to Oklahoma. Then the 4 captains on defense. That's 6 beasts.
Yep.
Another guy who stands out on a
I'd say
football
that's
jersey.
all a pretty good preview for the next. Next year.
Let's wrap it up with some guys who are switching, putting the helmets down and picking up the orange ball. And let me
They
just throw
usually call it the round.
the round ball
because they're both
The round ball.
kind of.
hit in the hardwood.
Orangish.
Josh Wallace. Let's just say the words. We watched him in the
You stole
championship game.
tease.
No, well, he's the guy.
No.
He's the throwout guy. He's the guy. I mean, he's a. Darren McClinton says he's by far the best two-way player in the entire WCAC.
Whoa.
That's Darren McClinton's
Whoa.
praise. Yeah.
That's pretty
Well,
awesome.
I'm going to say this, and then T, I know, is also going to be able to comment on this. When football ends, and this is what we did forever, and this is what I love that these guys do now, because it seems to be a dying breed of multi-sport athletes. Even though we've said on this show multiple times, 102 of 106 athletes in the Super Bowl last year played multiple sports in high
sport
school.
athletes.
So let's not forget that. That's still present day. This is this whole new whatever. We'll get into that later, and we always do. These guys, T, when we left football season and got out onto the basketball court, there's a total different set of muscle memory, and
Yep.
my jump shot was so horrible. Playing
Conditioning.
defense, my feet,
Conditioning.
basketball shape is totally different than football shape.
I remember I used
everything
to,
about
I
it
used
was
to run
awkward.
as hard as I could on sprints, and at the end of football season,
It didn't
I-
matter.
I was always second. Cordell Smith, who ended up being a potential Olympian athlete, always beat me, but I always came in second because I was running as hard as I could because I was getting myself also in shape for basketball. I
Right.
knew what was
Yep.
coming up. I had to work my ass off knowing that there's a whole different.
no matter how hard you
conditioning
worked,
going- No.
it didn't matter.
I had to do everything I could to at least get me it close.
So that's my point. Watching Josh Wallace, even dribbling, I worked on my ball handling every day of my life. But coming on football season, it was just a little off. You know what I mean? Like the car was not fine tuned. There was a little something missing. And watching Josh Wallace on Twitter, Matt Seal sends it to me. I look at it. I'm see it. This guy comes
awesome.
down the lane and thunder dunks on someone. You're telling me he's the best two-way guy. Is he not feeling what I'm talking about right now? Is he
Yep.
just not feeling this D back to point guard, two guard, combo
No.
guard situation?
He's been training for basketball all football
Is
season.
this that's bizarre to me. You
Yeah.
don't just come out a week after the craziest high school football game of all time and dunk on someone and then jog back down court like you've done it a million times because
Because he
obviously
probably
has.
has.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jermaine Johnson plays basketball as well, right?
I did not see him on the roster this year. I think his elite play on the gridiron has taken him to a different level. I think the Maryland Terrapins will be super happy to get a guy like that, and I think all of us will be super happy to watch him play for the hometown team.
I'll go.
You did take mine, but that's fine.
Kenny Womack, Kenny Womack, Keith Feeney, who was very selfish and deprived Coach Malloy. But just kidding. Kenny Womack is rested. He's ready to play some ball for the Mustangs.
A lefty, which I like.
He's a lefty,
smooth lefty from Forestville.
He's Pat Mitchell. He's to me, he's Pat Mitchell.
Honestly, Pat Mitchell just did a backflip, and now he's just sprinting down Ferndale Street. I just got Pat is sprinting down Ferndale wearing boxers and chucks.
He's on his way.
Gotta be kidding me. Kenny McNamara and Pat Mitchell.
Down Ferndale.
The lefty, the savvy lefty point guard. Obviously, Kenny is built upon Patrick Mitchell's game from the Heights. The Heights will be competing.
I'll tell you what, I've
in a
seen
full
Patrick
season
Mitchell in full stride in the mornings on his jog. He looks pretty strong.
He's still going Rocky style. I'm sure he's playing
wearing the outfit I just described, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Who I believe is going to be in the running for a Tim Reddy-like role covering the Heights this basketball season and potentially going forward. He's passionate about his school. They are full-fledged WCAC style. They're going home and away.
It's a great place.
Soccer champions.
It's a great
Soccer
place.
champions. So
I got to hear Seals.
Well, no, we're not going anywhere.
I know. I got to hear Seals because it's totally going to change mine.
I'm going to default to you.
Well, I thought you were going to go with the obvious.
Ken just took everybody in.
What?
Listen, who Seal? First of all, Seal has done more research on this than all of us.
Yeah.
I have two guys written down. One made a catch that will never, ever, ever be forgotten.
Yep. I saved him.
John Marshall.
Hold that up there, Matty. We got to be able to hear you. John Marshall.
Here? Yeah, Johnny Marshall.
Who else you got?
Well, we were talking about him earlier. Banks.
Yeah.
And O'Connell.
Jamal
He was
Banks.
up onto the hardwood for the Knights. And Coach O'Connell, Wooten over there.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks
So-
every bit of a basketball player,
Sure
too.
does.
Even in a football uniform.
But you know what his best sport is? Or what not his favorite sport, but the sport he's best at.
Please do not say tennis.
I wish it was tennis.
Of course you do.
It's
Maybe
lacrosse.
it is.
No way.
Yes, he's a gifted lacrosse player. Most people would say that is his best sport. He's very Jim Brown. You and I at
There you
the
go.
same time.
Jim Thorpe as well. Let's not
Jim
forget
Thorpe
about
as
Jim
well.
Thorpe.
Jamal Banks. Keep that.
Yeah.
People
No doubt.
people sleep on the Virginia schools.
He's got the J and the B.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
Ireton, Paul VI, and O'Connell. They have lots of good programs. Jamal Banks. Remember his name. He's a really, really fun athlete to cover, and he's coming back next year. But he's also, we get him year round in this basement, which is the coolest thing
Yes,
ever.
it is. All right, John Marshall was all of ours, and you know what? Forever, years after he graduates from the Naval Academy, we will buy that man a drink.
Yes,
absolutely.
For what? Listen, a nice,
Probably for multiple reasons.
yes. And I'm going to go with Mitchell Melton over at Good Counsel.
Ooh, I like it.
Tim Reddy, I want to say thank you for all of your super fan coverage this year. Your football knowledge was tremendous. Your ability to make everything entertaining was a great addition to the squad this year. Thank you, brother, for everything. This guy, Tim Reddy, called him out early in the season.
Yep.
Outside linebacker, strong safety type guy. Got the long, wiry physique, the long arms. He can play. He can cover the pass. He can play the run. He can also play some ball.
Yep.
On the hard court, and he's about to do that out there at Good Counsel. And one last thing before we get out of here, you're talking about the Heights and Pat Mitchell taking that same role that Tim Reddy took this year.
Well, for the Heights, not for Good Counsel.
For the Heights.
Yeah.
Right? No.
I want
of
Tim
course.
Reddy. If you think you're off
But
the hook, you better
what
be
I'm
coming
saying
with some
is
basketball.
about the Heights. A friend of mine for about 30 years, I played pickup ball with him at Fleming back in the day. He's been my guy. He's been a guy that's come in to see me.
Instant cred.
It's been a guy that's come to see me as I've fashioned a few cocktails over the days behind the slab in Bethesda for over 20 years. When he was a younger man, I haven't seen him in decades. Sunshine Hemphill, the head basketball coach at the Heights. What a great person.
Sunshine.
What a great guy.
Yep.
What a great baller back in the day. And you
Shout
can
out to
tell his
Claudette.
passion. And how about this? Sunshine is taking the Heights into their first year in the premier high school basketball conference in the nation.
Yep.
He opens up Friday, and I'm going to wish him well because,
Definitely.
there's no nights off. But T. Strachan, where do you think the Heights is playing their first game as a full schedule team? On the road in a little town called Hyattsville, right outside. So welcome to the WCAC,
the Morgan
Sonny.
Wooten and Kathy Wooten gym.
And you know what? Knowing what a competitor he is taking that in stride. He's going to have his guys ready to give everything they got. And 20-game schedule this year after playing a modified version last year. They are a full member this year. And in night one, on opening night, can you imagine having to go and play?
Careful what you ask for.
At DeMatha. Hey, I'm going to tell you, Sonny didn't ask for this, but you know what? He's going to be ready. He's going to have the guys ready. I wish him a great season. What a great dude. And I'm
Grew up
telling
with
you,
sunshine,
what
man.
a just
That's
been a
awesome.
friend of mine since I can possibly remember having
awesome.
friends, and I'm so happy for him.
They're in our backyard, like so many other schools are, and I would love to get over there. We can catch some of these other teams coming through. They're getting the Heights is going to be hosting some top programs,
Sure.
which is the coolest part about it. And I think, again, Tim, ready. You're not off the hook. I hope you're ready to
I need his
provide some
pipes.
basketball stuff. Yes,
just need his
I
pipes
need
back.
hardwood songs. I need
Parodies.
Hey,
the whole nine.
he was a
yards.
great player. He was a great basketball player, good counsel. I guarded him underneath the basket.
Oh,
after
we
my
had our
ACL.
days in CYO.
Yeah, I know.
We had our days
We
in
all
CYO.
did in the same division.
Uh-huh.
All right, we'll get to that. With Pat Mitchell, too. Pat Mitchell was in that division as well.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be a fun time this winter. We move right from an amazing group of teams to an amazing group of teams. It's the same group of teams, except with different in basketball than football. Football's upper and lower, Metro and Capital.
All
but
11, baby.
in basketball, it's all 11, home and away, 20-game schedule.
Brutal.
You're going to get games for the most part. Kevin laid it out for us. Tuesdays and Fridays are going to be your main game nights. When we're doing the show here on Tuesday, we'll be getting updates. So if you're watching our show, we promise to have the best of our ability to get you updates of games that are happening on Tuesdays. And
I'll
then,
be out there on the scene for most of them. So
so we'll have a
provide
correspondent.
live in-game updates. For
There
sure.
you go, brother.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
we'll
what we're
miss
talking
you here,
about.
Though.
Man,
But that's awesome. We'll call you.
It is your
We'll
job.
have you call in from the court.
I can check in from courtside for sure.
The sultry
Awesome.
tones.
Peach
Sweaty.
Wedding. Peach Wedding on the sidelines.
Hey, and you know what he's going to be talking about real quick, just so we know, heading into this season? 13 guys that are 4-star or above guards in this conference.
Yes.
Just to give you guys a little bite of what you're going to be dealing with night in, night out if you play guard in this league.
You'll be running.
Holy moly. It's the NBA
It's
of
as
high school
good.
athletics.
Again, there's just nothing like it
We don't
anywhere
refer
else.
to it as the best conference in the land for nothing, do we?
It's the best high school sports conference in
As you
the,
go
in the
from
land.
football right to basketball.
And the coolest part about
Let's
the
do it.
football game that made its way around the world is that everyone heard us say
Literally
that.
the world.
Literally the world. And
Yep.
people are like,
Australia and New Zealand, what's up?
really? Better
That
than
is literally
Texas?
the other side of
Better
the
than
world.
California? Better than Ohio? Better than Florida? And I'm like, yes, prove me wrong. I don't think you can. And by the way, we have a head start on everybody of proving ourselves right through football. Wait till you see when we're about to put on film.
Thank you very much. Us.
This season, yes.
We try to tell you.
We try to tell you.
tell you.
Try to tell you.
We were whispering. We were
You were
yelling.
like, prove it. Guess what? We're gonna. Until next Tuesday night, I would like to say thank you so much for giving us some time. Talk about the WCAC, amazing local sports. We believe DC is a great sports town, and the WCAC is part of that. He's Matt Seal.
It's been fun as always. Let's get ready to throw the ball up.
All right, a little tip-off action. He's Tim Strachan.
Congratulations, Gonzaga. Congratulations to all the other teams, especially seniors for the
St. Mary's
for the
Riken.
football side. St. Mary's Riken. And looking forward to rolling this through to the basketball season, fellas.
He's Kevin Ricca.
In this amazing sports town that we know, that we cover, that we love, our kids have shown up and shown out. I want to say thank you to them, because all the thank yous we've been getting is directly because of the kids. We're only here for the kids. So
Conduit.
it has nothing to do with us. We're just happy to be on the sidelines watching. And thank you, young man, for doing what you've done, what you're about to do, and what you've always done in the league.
You know, case in point, real quick.
Yeah.
It's the people who are, calling in from California, and Tennessee and Texas that are saying, this is so awesome. Thank you. Because they get to see what we see, and we're happy to be able to bring it to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to stop. We're not resting on our laurels. We're not just happy to be here, and we're not just content with showing you the
Resting
best
on-
high school football game of all time.
On their laurel. On their laurels.
On their laurels.
But we can.
I mean,
at
we're
some
gonna
point.
show some initiation. We're going to stand next to
That's
them.
why we chose to do this.
Yes.
We know what's up.
We know what's up. We'll be continuing to let you know what's up on a Tuesdaily basis. We'll be back next Tuesday night from the basement. We're going to invent words.
It's very Ned Flanders-ish.
I appreciate that. On behalf of
Tuesday
Basement Podcast Studios
Diddly-do.
all across this land, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the Hot... I almost said the Hot Box.
Yeah.
I meant to say the WCAC
Hey,
Spectacular.
it's hot.
Come back for the Hot
It's
Box
hot.
in an
Oh,
hour
yeah.
with Kevin and Darren McClid, where we talk about the same thing.
After the
Redskins
whistle.
show starts in
Next.
5 minutes. We got to make sure we don't give people the extra bonus coverage. It doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes I get in a mode, I say the wrong name at the end.
I don't know how it doesn't happen more often, to be honest.
We are
Johnny
still
Holiday,
live.
like,
There's the X
always at one point
And then
in
you
a
hit
basketball
X,
game
and then you hit
says
N.
Maryland football, or at a football
on the
game
top
says Maryland
right-hand
basketball.
corner. Thank you.
We'll figure this out.